What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Just a guy on my lunch break is back. Hey, we made it. 500 subscribers. That's a pretty good milestone. That's halfway to 1,000. When I started this channel, I didn't know if I would get any subscribers. To be completely honest, I kind of just did it as a play to use the channel as my own accountability mirror as I was trying to kind of change my relationship with Kratom. In the process, I had a few other people start to jump on and be like, hey, me too, and here's my experience with it. And then as that went on and I went through my own journey, my own process, I became invested in first off, people became invested in my process, in my journey, and then likewise, I became invested in a lot of other people's journeys and even made some friends along the way. And next thing you know, 100 subscribers. They keep adding up. Next thing you know, 200, 300, 400, now 500 subscribers. So I'm halfway to that point where 1,000 subscribers on YouTube is at the point where you can begin to be monetized. So, if it's a channel that can really help people and I can have a little side hustle where I made a few extra pennies by helping people, then it's not a bad thing, right? Why would I not want that? Why would I not want to make a few extra pennies? I mean, it is what it is. It's not a lifeline for me. Of course, I have a career. I mean, I'm just a guy on my lunch break, and if I wasn't taking a lunch break, the fact that I take a lunch break every day means I'm taking a lunch break from something. I have a job. So, it's not like a lifeline for me, but hey, if it's something that could turn into something where I could be somewhat self-sufficient and earn a little bit of money from doing it, that'd be awesome, man. Why would I not want to do that? It is something that I invest my time and effort and my heart into. So anyway, 500 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for that. Had a lot of folks to subscribe recently, and that's thanks to you guys that I hit that milestone, and being halfway to 1,000 at this point. This is the part where I say, if you enjoy the content and if you've watched a couple of my videos, the first one's free. If you come back for a second, now you gotta pay. So if you would hit that subscribe button, it's a free service. It doesn't cost you anything. Just a handshake and a 2 thumbs up would be very sufficient for me. And just if you do that for me, I would very much appreciate it. My mind is kind of wandering a little bit today. I wake up at 3 in the morning, and there's a particular time throughout the night. As you know, I've got a 5-month-old at home, and there's a particular time throughout the night. His biological clock is very on point, as I think many infants are. And when I woke up, my wife tells me that she gets this notification about yet another mass shooting. I stay away from political things on here. It's just not something I ever talk about, but being a human person that lives in this country and that has a family and is just really thankful for the freedoms that I have, thankful to God that I live in the country that I live in, where you can practice religious freedom, and you have the ability to go out there and be great if you put your mind and your effort into that. And the ability to be able to have a wonderful family, a wife, children, a beautiful home, and just everything, a wonderful family, wonderful job, everything that comes along with just this journey of life, and how, when I sit back and think about how appreciative I am of all of those things, to hear something like about this mass shooting, and to I tend to be a very empathetic person, and kind of have the ability to put myself in the shoes and in the mind of others, and when I hear something like this happens, I can't help but do that, and I can't help but think about how some of these people and the family members of these victims who have just been unceremoniously in cold blood just gunned down while somewhere doing something completely harmless, such as bowling, right? And this person also went to a bar, I think a bar grill, shortly after that. And I don't want to get into the details because I know this guy's still on the loose and the details are very sketchy at this point. So it's one of those things where I don't want to speak on that, and as I don't know a lot of the details, but I do know there's at least 20 people dead, and that's just, when I start thinking about that, and then I put myself, what would I do? What if me, who I am, the life I'm living today, if I were to ever get the news that my wife, or my wife, I mean, that would be the worst. I love her and depend upon her so much. I mean, she is my life, literally. But any of my family, my brother, my mom, my dad, my son, either one of my children, anybody that I know and love, and you get this news that they have been gunned down and senselessly murdered just for being in the wrong place at the wrong time, when this sick person armed with an automatic weapon bust into this public place and just start spraying people with bullets, and I think about that and it just freaking hurts me to my heart, man. And it's, I've thought about it a lot today, and I've thought about, how lucky I am, how fortunate I am to have life. It kind of puts you in the mind of appreciating the fragility of life. You're here one minute, you're young, you're healthy. I mean, a lot of these people, were young people who had their whole lives in front of them. You're here one minute, and then all of a sudden, boom, in the blink of an eye, it's gone. And it's not just that their lives were cut short, but then I think about the family members who loved them, who loved the deceased, or even the ones who have been, because there's multiple others that have been injured who have not been deceased but are injured, and you never know how, this tragedy will end up affecting the rest of their lives, whether it be physically or, obviously emotionally. Is bound to cause just some endless turmoil. These people will be having nightmares for probably the rest of their days on this earth, if they do physically recover from their injuries. The emotional recovery will never be complete, I imagine. I can only imagine. I've never been through it. But anyway, I wanted to speak on that. Say a prayer for those people. I know this is a channel about kratom, and, but we're all humans. We all have loved ones. We're all here on this earth together, and at a time like this, I think prayer is important. And I think a one-mindedness. Even if you're not a particularly religious person, I believe that positive thoughts and positive vibes seep into the very air that we breathe, in our very universe, and our very surroundings. And I believe that can bring comfort, at least some small measure of comfort to those who are affected by a tragedy like this. So I just ask all you guys out there, if you're a religious person, say a prayer for all of those affected by this. Say a prayer that they will catch this asshole. You know, more times than not, it seems that when somebody is willing, they have gotten to a point in their lives. And I know this guy was military trained, trained by the military to be an instructor of how to use weapons and stuff like that, which is just mind-blowing to me. I'm not even going to go into gun laws and all these other, again, I try not to get political in here. I try to be careful about what I talk about. But one thing, I don't want to get my channel, pulled, because there's certain things you just can't really talk about on YouTube, and I will not talk about it. But unfortunately, I think a lot of times when people have gotten to a point in their lives where their sickness and their mental illness has caused them to do something like what this individual has done, you can't help but assume that this guy doesn't feel like he has anything further to live for, right? Otherwise, why would he have made it a mission to go and murder a bunch of innocent people, right? I mean, he has to know how this is going to end. So I guess what I'm saying is I wouldn't be shocked if what we find is that he's already dead, to be honest, that maybe he's taking his own life, which I hope not. I hope they catch him. And I hope and I hope that he has to spend every waking minute in a dark room for the rest of his life, for having done what he's done. Anyway, that's, I'm a grown man, and we talk about, men especially have trouble sharing their feelings and stuff like that. And I'm at a point in my life where I don't really give a shit, man. I have feelings, and you know what? That's okay. And if you're a guy out there, you're a man out there, and you have feelings, that's okay. You can still be a man's man. You can still like to exercise and still like, martial arts like I do, and you can still be a competitive person. You can still be an alpha male, but still just cry inside when you hear something like this, and as a father, as a husband, as a son, as a brother, it just breaks my heart to hear stuff like that happening, and my, thoughts and emotions, feelings really go out to those people affected by it. And I just want to say that. Please say a prayer, send up positive vibes for everyone affected by this, and also, likewise, pray for the fact that this son of a bitch gets caught, and soon, okay? Because it wasn't just one isolated instance. From what they understand, he did what he did at the bowling alley, and then he went to a bar grill several miles away and opened fire as well. So my biggest concern, and I think a lot of the country's biggest concern, is that this is going to turn into some sort of killing spree where he's going to pop up in different places and do this again and again. So there could be further loss of life, and I just hope that that's not the case. Just hope it's not the case. But anyway, no more. It's too beautiful of a day to sit here and talk about that, but I just had to bring it up in a conversation because it's something I've been thinking about a lot today, and I'm sure all of you guys have heard about it. And I got at least 500 subscribers, so even if half of those run across this video and hear my words, then that will be 250 people that say a prayer for those affected. And I feel like prayer works, and I think that will be a powerful thing. So thank you guys for listening to me rant about that. Give your children, give your spouse, give all of your family an extra long hug today. Make sure you tell them you love them, because when you hear something like this, it really puts into perspective that we are all here for a finite amount of time, and the fragility of life is ever present before us, and it can be gone just like that. Any of our lights can be extinguished just like that. And for that, you should never wait until tomorrow to show the people that you love how you feel. I know it sounds cliche-ish, but it's just absolutely true. And I love you guys. And thank you for the support on the channel. You know, I'm always pulling for you guys. And you guys are always pulling for me, and that feels good. Anyway, I'm just feeling kind of mushy today. Oh, man. It is what it is. Just being myself, guys. I'm just being myself. Lene Cuddy says, I'm so happy you figured out about relationships and how lucky we are that true love and trust is everything. Lene, you're absolutely right. And of course, this is in response to, this is a comment that of my video yesterday, and I talked a little bit about relationships, and I think it would be cool to help younger people through trials and tribulations they might be experiencing in a relationship. Relationships can often be confusing unions, especially to younger people who don't have a lot of experience in them. And I just was expressing that outside of Kratom, you know, I would like to talk about stuff like that every once in a while. And if anybody ever had a question and they wanted to get my thoughts on it, to please leave a comment about it. And it sounds like Lene has got it right too. And it sounds like you are in a wonderful relationship, and you have that love and trust. And you're absolutely right. It is everything. She said everything in capital letters. So it sounds like you're very fortunate in that as well. And, you know, the last 12, 16 hours, that has been so very obvious to me how fortunate I am. And again, you know, when something like this happens, these mass shootings or something like that, it just makes me really, really appreciate that I'm still here, you know, and that I'm still enjoying this gift of life, enjoying the gift of a family, you know, of a wife, of children, of a home, you know, and all the things that I find beautiful in life. And it's really sad that people can get to a point where they are not able to find any of that positivity in life, to a point where they're so angry at this presentation of life that they're living that they just want to end other people's lives, even people who they don't even know, that are completely innocent in regards to their relationship to that person, you know. And it just goes to show you how far down that rabbit hole of depression and anger and just mental illness that people can really go. You know, there's so many different levels to it, and it's amazing that someone can spiral that far down. And I was gonna say and nobody noticed, but the sad part is it sounds like people did notice, you know. And this is another instance where there were absolutely some red flags, that this individual was struggling with his mental health. And anyway, I'm not gonna keep going on that, but Lene, thank you. I'm proud of you as well, that you seem to have a wonderful relationship as well. And I agree, you know, love and trust is everything. You know, times like this really make me realize that. At Stop Spying on Me says, man, I've been playing around with the extracts and did the math in my head how much it would cost to do daily, and damn, even with just one, you're looking at $140 a week. Yep, that's exactly right. Now, think of it this way. You're not just gonna do it, if you're addicted to it, you're not just gonna do it 1 week out of the month. So now let's make that 4 weeks. What's that? 480, 520, 560. That's $560 per week. Per week. That's $1,120 every 2 weeks. That's $2,240. Damn, my math's good, man. Damn. Okay. Okay. All right. Damn, human calculator. No, not really. That's over $2,000 per month. That's more than a mortgage payment for most people. Okay, depending on where you're living, that's more than most people's mortgage payment. So yeah, so that kind of puts into perspective why the extracts are not only an issue from the perspective of, well, you're addicted to something and it wreaks havoc on you physically, your physical body, and your mental, emotional, but it's killing people's pocketbooks, man. And then people have trouble stopping because it's so, because they're addicted. They're addicted. And the withdrawals that people experience when they stop are deplorable. And so even though they can't afford it, people are going back and spending the money, figuring out a way to get the money to get some more extracts, And yeah, the financial aspect of it, when I quit a while back, was a large component as to why I wanted to quit, And again, I've said before, my wife and I both make good money. I'm fortunate in the sense that I could have drank 2 a day every day and just spent most of my salary. Most of my salary could have gone to MIT extracts, and then myself and my wife would have still kind of been able to pay our bills. Because I'm fortunate. My wife makes good money. She's a top salesperson, so she does really well financially as well. So I was fortunate and lucky in that way. But I'm telling you, when I ever sat down and conceived of how much money I was actually spending on those in the height of my addiction to them, it just made me cringe. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm spending that much money. But yeah, stop spying on me. You're absolutely right, man. And I think, I know you've mentioned before, I think it's a good thing that I never got into the extracts. I would absolutely agree with that. And if you've not, even if you're a person who is a Kratom user, and you're listening to me right now and you're like, extract, what are those? What are those? Let me try one of those. No, don't do it. Don't do it. They're extremely expensive, highly addictive, and the makers of these things realize that they have an ace up their sleeve. They're charging 16, 18, 20 bucks for a little small 2 milliliter things of these, and on top of it, it's getting people much more highly addicted to Kratom, so they know that people are going to continue to come back, all right? So yeah, anyway, at Nomadic Neanderthal, that's a good name, man. At Nomadic Neanderthal 1377 says, I tried switching from the extracts to order and have terrible and almost instantaneously diarrhea. Wow. I think he meant to say to powder. It's sometimes hard reading people's comments on the fly like that, because, it happens to me too when I write stuff. I'll look back and be like, oh, I've got 3 grammatical errors in my comment. It happens to everyone, but every once in a while people will have grammatical errors and don't realize it, and then when I go to read it, I'm seeing and experiencing the grammatical errors in real time, because it's the first time I've really read the comment. So he says, I tried switching from extracts to order and have terrible, almost instantaneous diarrhea. I think what he meant was tried switching from extracts to powder and had diarrhea. Man, that's a direct result of, now, I'm not a doctor, obviously, but I do know anything that attaches to the opiate receptors actually can cause like constipation, right? And I don't know all of the medical reasons for that actually happens. It has something to do with the opiate receptors, and you also have opiate receptors, believe it or not, in your intestines as well. And a lot of the absorption from things that you take and that you ingest actually happens in your intestines. A lot of people don't realize that. Everybody thinks it's your stomach, and no, it's actually, a lot of it is actually after that, after it leaves your stomach. But a lot of it has to do with how it attaches to the opiate receptors, and so you can get constipated from taking something like an opiate on a regular basis. Well, if you taper down or you go to stop abruptly, the opposite happens, and you'll experience diarrhea. So what you're saying here, nomadic Neanderthal, makes perfect sense, bro. But you said when you come from the extracts to the powder, you have terrible, almost instantaneous diarrhea. It's not necessarily just because you're switching to the powder that it's giving you the diarrhea. I guarantee you what that is that your tolerance for the metrogenine alkaloid in the extracts, the metrogenine, the component or the compound that actually gives you the euphoria, the high, is really, really high in those extracts, okay? And so when you switch from the extract and you start taking the powder, if you're not taking enough of the powder to account for about the same amount of alkaloid that you were getting in the extracts that you were taking, then your body is basically going to go into a certain level of withdrawal. Well, guess what one of the main side effects of withdrawal are? Ding, 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 ding. What do we have for them, Alex? You're right. It's diarrhea. So it's not as much about, extracts versus powder, and then the powder gives you diarrhea. It's and you probably already know this, but it simply has to do with you're experiencing withdrawal, and that's what's unfortunate about these extracts. They increase your tolerance so much, and then what people find is when they go to, there's a car parked about 40 feet away from me, and they are absolutely smoking marijuana because I just got this major whiff of, oh yeah. Damn, dude, you're brave. I mean, how do you know I'm not a cop? I can literally smell it coming through my air condition right now. Anyway, as I'm sitting over here doing a video about kratom, I'm judging these people who are over here smoking marijuana. But damn, man, in a public park? I mean, this is a disc golf course. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, so the people have trouble when they come off of the extracts finding the amount of powder that is going to equal the alkaloid that is found in the extracts. So by example, if you're doing, let's say you're only doing one extract per day, which is 2 milliliters, well, when you go to switch to powder, you might have to take 20 capsules per day, 25 capsules per day of the capsules and the powder to equal that same amount of alkaloid that you were finding in a little bitty 2 milliliter bottle of the extracts. You understand? And a lot of people aren't used to taking that really large amount. So I experienced this when I went to switch to the powder and then taper, I switched on to probably 14 grams of kratom powder, which is roughly 18 maybe capsules, something like that, 18, 20 capsules per day. And I still had probably 2 nights where I was going through some withdrawals and wasn't able to sleep, was having some insomnia, a little bit of the restless legs. I was kind of waking up sweaty in the middle of the night. I was still taking kratom, a decent amount, but it was not enough kratom powder to equal the amount of alkaloid that I was getting in the extracts. And that's one of the things that makes it difficult for people to switch to the powder, to kind of get the financial relief, first off, of not having to pay $40 a day just to support your habit, right? That shit gets expensive. So people, first thing they want to do is, damn, I need to save some money. I got to come off of these extracts immediately. Well, I don't want to go through horrible withdrawals, so I still need to take kratom, but it needs to be something different than the extracts. So then people try to buy the powder, which is significantly cheaper, but then they find you have to swallow a shit ton of powder to equal what you were getting with that extract. And it's difficult to do. And that's one of the reasons I started this channel, to help myself through it, kind of talk my way through it. But then I saw this was an issue out there too with you guys, that there were plenty of other people who would run across these extracts and were in the same boat. They felt kind of stuck, and it was killing their finances, killing their bank accounts. I got all kinds of comments from people experiencing the same thing. So it's a real issue. I'm going to finish his comment here. Have you or anybody in the comments had this experience, and what did you do, if anything? Well, I think I just answered that. Absolutely, I had that experience. What that is, man, is just, like I said, it's just your body going through some withdrawal. Because you're probably not getting the same amount of the metrogenine alkaloid and the amount of powder that you're taking as you were in the extracts. Because in the extracts, those things are packed with a very high amount of the metrogenine, right? And so that's what it is. What you really have to do, man, to avoid that. I mean, you can, take some like loperamide and some over-the-counter stuff that's supposed to harden up the stool. But I didn't really ever mess with that. Mine wasn't bad enough to where it was causing like really extreme diarrhea. But listen, just make sure you eat really healthy, especially when you're having diarrhea. It's important to stay hydrated. Make sure you're drinking a lot of water, stuff like that. And I would just take just a little more powder than you were taking. If you get closer to that point with the powder that you're taking around the same amount of metrogenine, then that should decrease. And even if you don't take an extra amount of powder, it is what it is, man. Sometimes you got to pay the piper. You've been taking these extracts for a while. Sometimes you just got to pay the piper. You might have a little loose stool for a couple of days, but listen, 2, 3, 4 days should pass, and that should start to settle a little bit, okay? And then your body will kind of get accustomed to whatever powder you're taking and the amount of alkaloid in it. And then that, the loose stool and the diarrhea and all that should start to subside. It did with me, and I'm pretty sure it will with you as well. You just kind of got to be patient sometimes, and you might have to take a little bit more powder because there's way more metrogenine alkaloid in those extracts than there is in the powder, and you're learning that the hard way, it seems like. I had almost gotten to the point where I quit and threw my back out again and had to ramp it back up. I have since got back down to where I was, but damn, have tried to take powder several times with same effect, including taking less extract with powder a few times. Yeah, just keep doing it, man. It's withdrawals is what it is. I've explained it. You're just having withdrawals, and diarrhea is one of the withdrawal symptoms, okay? That will go away if you'll just stick with the powder, because if you go back on to the extracts, then you're still going to have this on, off sort of thing going back on. If you want to get off altogether, if you just want to go on the powder permanently, just go on to the powder and stay on it. The diarrhea and stuff will go away in a few days. But if you're wanting to come off of even the powder eventually, then don't go back on the extract. Stay on the powder. Then every 3 or 4 days, chop that powder down by about 1 gram until you're eventually off of it. I've got a Kratom Taper playlist on here where I go through that whole process each day, kind of told what I did, how I'm doing it. Exercise helps, eating healthy helps, staying hydrated helps. There are certain supplements like vitamin C and different things that you can take to help with that process and help decrease the severity of the withdrawals. I'm about to run out of time here. McClay says, I disagree about tapering extracts. I tried that and it didn't work. It's much better to switch to powder immediately for the money savings. Even if you have to take a fair amount of caps or powder. Extracts are a fucking jet ski in a year's time less. Yes, sir. Sure is. Maybe more than a jet ski, to be honest with you. Yeah, and I was glad to hear McClay say that, because that's exactly where I was, man. That's exactly where I was. The number one motivator for me was to just get rid of that financial monkey off my back. I wasn't having a lot of trouble with like the physical aspect of just taking it all the time, because like I said, I'm an otherwise very healthy person. I exercise, eat healthy, drink a ton of water, and I'm very, very disciplined when it comes to that, and I was at that time. But the money, bro, my God, the money was just out of this world. Good comment, man. Thank you very much. Listen, I appreciate you guys. I gotta go. I'm almost at 35 minutes here. I hope you guys have a great day. Subscribe to the channel if you've not. Like the video, leave a comment, let me know what your story is. Maybe I'll discuss it. on my next video. Thanks again for the 500 subscribers. You guys are the best. Love you much. See you next time.